Hi friends, The Spectrums, A Brief History of Modern India is considered to be the most recommended book for the modern history preparation as far as UPSC is concerned. In the 2018 edition of The Spectrums, A Brief History of Modern India, a new chapter after Nehru have been added. In this video, we are going to discuss a part of it, especially the Lal Bahadur Shastri years, which extends from 1964 to 1966. Let's peep into the history of India during that period. Jawaharlal Nehru died in 1964. After his death, India experienced a smooth transition of government, keeping intact a vibrant democracy. Unlike the other neighboring countries where they experienced coups and military takeovers. The word coup means a sudden, violent, illegal seizure of power from the government. After Nehru's death, Gulzarilal Nanda was appointed as the interim Prime Minister. There were two contenders for the post of Prime Minister, namely Morarji Desai and Lal Bahadur Shastri. At the end, Shastri was chosen by the party as the next parliamentary leader, hence, he became the second Prime Minister of India after Jawaharlal Nehru. Lal Bahadur Shastri was greatly opposed to the caste system and the dowry system. Lal Bahadur Shastri was greatly influenced by Mahatma Gandhi. He also participated in the freedom movement. He also joined the non-cooperation movement in 1921, in the salt satyagraha, the individual satyagraha, and also in the 1942 Quit India movement. He was imprisoned several times. He made use of this time in prison to read the works of social reformers and Western philosophers. Shastri also was part of the Congress organization. He was elected to the Legislative Assembly of United Provinces in 1937. This is about the journey of Lal Bahadur Shastri before independence. Let's look into the political journey of Lal Bahadur Shastri after independence. After independence, Shastri was appointed as the minister in charge of police and transport portfolio in Uttar Pradesh. He initiated various reforms such as appointment of women as bus conductors, and also he directed the police to use water jets instead of Lathis to disperse the unruly mobs. Shastri was made the General Secretary of All India Congress Committee in 1951. He was also nominated as a Rajya Sabha member. He also became the Railway Minister in 1956. He resigned, taking moral responsibility for a serious rail accident. He also became the Home Minister. He was also a very skillful mediator. He also appointed a committee, that is Prevention of Corruption Committee, headed by K. Santanam, whose recommendation resulted the formation of Central Vigilance Commission. He also was a Minister of Transport and Communication, Minister for Commerce and Industry, and also during Nehru's illness, he was a minister without portfolio. Lal Bahadur Shastri continued the legacy of Nehru, but with change. He wanted India to be a socialist democratic country with freedom and prosperity for all, and maintaining world peace and friendship with all nations. Shastri was a true secularist at heart. He wanted an India where everybody have the freedom to follow whatever religion they choose and worship in the way they please. Shastri also drew Indira Gandhi, Nehru's. Shastri greatly respected Nehru, but he was not a blind follower of Nehru. In several ways, he showed that he had a mind of his own. He was the first Prime Minister to have a secretary to the Prime Minister. Thus, he led the formation of Prime Minister's Office or Prime Minister's Secretariat for the first time in the history of India. The government at the time faced three challenges. The first one, anti-Hindi demonstrations in the state of Madras or Tamil Nadu. Second, widespread food shortages. Third, Second War with Pakistan. Shastri was able to assure the people that English would continue as the official language as long as the non Hindi speaking states wanted, thus bringing peace to prevail even though there were riots in some places. Shastri took some important steps to meet the economic challenges faced by the country at the time that were different from the Nehruvian economics. He followed a policy of decentralization. He shifted the locus of economic decision making from the Planning Commission to the ministries and also from the center to the states. There were attempts to reduce the dominance of the Planning Commission by setting up a National Planning Council. Shastri and his team worked for reforming the economy through modernizing the agriculture and allowing more private sector freedom. During the war with Pakistan, he gave the famous slogan Jai Jawan Jai Kisan, which showed Shastri's firm belief that the security system upheld by the soldiers is closely linked with the food security, which was the farmers' duty. The slogan implied that the farmers' work on the field is as important as the soldiers' action on the battlefield in the service of the nation. Shastri is said to be the person who sowed the seeds of Green Revolution and White Revolution in India. Though the credit is given to Indira Gandhi, it was the result of Shastri's initiative which transformed the Indian agriculture a decade later. Shastri drew in C. Subramaniam as his Food and Agriculture Minister. The two eminent scientists, namely B.P. Paul of Indian Council of Agriculture Research and M.S. Swaminathan of the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, brought the government to be aware of the new high-yielding varieties of wheat developed by Norman Borlaug's team in Mexico. The Green Revolution involved a threefold thrust in the field of technology, in the field of economics, in the field of organization. Shastri faced a lot of opposition from various quarters, including the Congress Party. Shastri approved the import of 250 tons of wheat seeds in 1965. Later in 1966, some many thousands of tons were also imported. As this resulted in the setting of motion of the Green Revolution, also the Indian scientists improved upon these varieties. In 1965, C.S. Subramanian and Orville Freeman, the US Agriculture Secretary, they signed an accord. As per the accord, India was committed to end the imports of food grains from USA by 1971 by investing more in agriculture, irrigation, research, seeds, fertilizers, and also in economic and marketing policies. The Americans, for their part, agreed to send more wheat to India in 1965 and 1966. The introduction of new technology in agriculture resulted in the formation of new organizations in the field in India. For example, the Agriculture Prices Commission and the Food Corporation of India came into being in 1965. Not only that, the National Seeds Corporation and the Central Warehousing Corporation were also set up around this time. Shastri was also responsible for the White Revolution. He started a national campaign to raise the production and supply of milk in India. He visited a farm in Gujarat in 1964 to inaugurate a cattle feed factory of Amul at Kenjeri. He was greatly impressed by the milk cooperative functioning over there. He wished that Verghese Kurian, the person behind the Milk Producers Union, Amul at the time, would also help in creating cooperatives in other parts of the country to improve the conditions of the farmers over there. National Dairy Development Board was established as a consequence at Anand in 1965. As I told earlier, there were chronic food shortages in the country during the time. Especially during the 1965 war with Pakistan, the US president tried to put pressure on India by warning that if India did not stop the war, US would stop providing wheat to the country. But Shastri refused to budge. We may go hungry but not bow before the US, he told the Indians. Shastri motivated the people to voluntarily give up a meal per week so that food could be saved to distribute to the people who required it. The public response was huge, and even the restaurants closed down on Monday evenings. Shastri set a great example before the people. During Shastri's tenure as the Prime Minister, several new institutions were inaugurated. For example, the Central Institute of Technology campus at Taramani, the Agriculture University at Hyderabad, the Jawahar Dock of the Chennai Port Trust, and also the plutonium reprocessing plant at Trombay in 1965. The plutonium reprocessing plant at Trombay was being set up as suggested by Dr. Homi Bhabha that India should become a nuclear country which uses nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. As per his suggestion, study of nuclear explosions for peaceful purposes was also set up. Let's look into the foreign relations during that time. Shastri made no changes to the policy of non-alignment which was endorsed by Nehru. However, he was very conscious of the situation India was in during that time at the wake of India-China war in 1962, and also there was growing military ties between Pakistan and China, which made India to increase the defense budget, and also Shastri made a point to modernize the armed forces of the country. And he also stressed the point that India should have close ties with the Soviet Union. He also tried to solve outstanding problems with the neighboring countries, for example, with the Ceylon or the Sri Lanka. The Bandaranaike Shastri Accord has been signed in 1964. In order to solve the status of Indian Tamils in Ceylon, the pact was settled for repatriation of 6 lakhs Tamil to India, and in turn, the Ceylon citizenship will be given to 3,75,000 Tamils in Ceylon. This has to be accomplished by 1981, but the accord has not fulfilled due to Shastri's death and the agreement have lapsed. Shastri's visit to Burma or Myanmar in 1965 helped to revive the strained relationship between India and Burma, which has been due to the repatriation of Indian people who were settled there in 1964 under the influence of military coup in 1962. In 1965, Shastri gave authorization to the Atomic Energy Commission to work towards a nuclear test. This was faced with strong opposition from his own party and also from the other parties. But this program could not proceed due to the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri and Homiji Baba. Let's look into the details of the Second Indo Pak War, which occurred in the Shastri's tenure in 1965. The earlier war with China in 1962 left the Indians, including the armed forces, feeling demoralized. The military ruler of Pakistan, Ayub Khan, probably thought it was the right time to test the strength of the Indian forces at the frontier. In April 1965, Pakistan tested the situation in Sindh. It seemed as if Pakistan would win during the first clashes in the Rann of Kutch. But due to Britain's intervention, there was an agreement for ceasefire and there was withdrawal of forces. Confident that the Indian army was weak and trying to capitalize on the unrest, Pakistan decided to launch another attack in Kashmir called Operation Grand Slam. Pakistan started sending armed raiders into Jammu and Kashmir from the so-called Azad Kashmir or the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. The Pakistan also claimed that there was a spontaneous uprising against the Indian occupation in Kashmir. The Indian Prime Minister showed his strength of mind at this point of time. He gave Indian forces the permission to cross the ceasefire line to close the passages used by the infiltrators. Not only that, he took very little time to grant permission to Indian Air Force to take the needed retaliatory steps. The Indian Air Force launched attack with their tanks aiming at Lahore and Sialkot across the border in Punjab. Soon, the Lahore was within the range of Indian fire. It was the first time that Indian Air Force was going to take part in a war after independence. The United Nations intervened and the ceasefire was brokered between the two parties and on September 23, 1965, thus bringing the Indo Pak War to an end. Now, let's move on to the peace agreement at Tashkent. A South Asian Peace Conference was held in January 1966 at Tashkent, the capital city of Uzbekistan. It was with the mediation of the Soviet President Alexei Kosygin that the President Ayub Khan of Pakistan and the Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri met and signed the Tashkent Declaration on January 10, 1966 to restore normal and peaceful relationship between the two countries. The Tashkent Declaration was meant to bring in lasting peace between the two countries. But the two sides were not able to reach an agreement. They were compelled by the Soviet leaders to sign a draft they prepared. However, the declaration was not met with complete approval either from India or Pakistan. The critics from India felt that there were no war pact or there was no any other provision that Pakistan would end the guerrilla aggression or the infiltration in Kashmir. In Pakistan too, the agreement was received more angrily. There were riots and demonstrations against it. On January 11, 1966, the morning following the signing of the Tashkent Declaration, Lal Bahadur Shastri died of a heart attack. There are a lot of controversies over the death of the leader. The hand of the Central Intelligence Agency of USA has been suspected in the matter, which coincided with the death of Homi Baba in an air crash. It is said that the Western power did not like the nuclear aspirations of India, which disturbed the balance of power in South Asia. The controversy has still not ended. Many RTIs have been asked for relevant information from the government, which the government has turned down. Let me give you the important points of the Tashkent Declaration, which was signed between the President of Pakistan and the Prime Minister of India. The first one is that India and Pakistan will work according to the United Nations Charter. The second point is that all armed forces of the country will regain their positions prior to the 1965 and both sides will observe the ceasefire terms on the ceasefire line. And the third is that the relationship between India and Pakistan will be based on the principle of non-interference in the internal matters of each other. And the fourth one is that there will be discouragement of any propaganda directed against each other. And the fifth one is regarding the restoration of diplomatic relationship between the two countries as per the Vienna Convention of 1961. And the sixth point is regarding the restoration of economic and trade relationship, communication and cultural exchanges between the two countries. And the seventh is about the repatriation of the prisoners of war after the Indo Pak War, which occurred in the 1965. And eighth point is regarding the discussions of questions relating to any refugees and or illegal migrants. And the ninth point is regarding the continuous meetings both at the highest level as well as other levels on matters of direct concern to both countries. So that's all about Tashkent Declaration. Here we come to the end of the history of India during the Shastri's time. Here are some questions that were asked in the mains 2013. The first question is about the slogan Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. You have to critically write the evolution of the slogan Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. And the second question is about the Tashkent Declaration. So the circumstances which led to the declaration and also the highlights of the Tashkent Declaration. Both the questions have been discussed in this lecture. And for the prelims, you can refer to the video I have already uploaded. I will give you the link in the description box. Thank you all for watching. Do subscribe to the channel and also tap the bell button for more updates. Thank you.